Like, so get this, you said in this text file, it's called Unified Action Resonance Equation 25020118330.txt. Now, I got to say, even I was a little intimidated at first.
Yeah.
But trust me, this deep dive, it's less about like, you know, deciphering cryptic equations and more about uncovering how some pretty wild ideas could actually like reshape our world.
Yeah, we're talking physics, quantum mechanics, sustainability, all rolled into one.
Yeah.
It's a pretty ambitious concept, but that's what makes it so fascinating.
And you know me, I love a good challenge.
Absolutely.
So imagine a world where we could design cities that practically run themselves. Farms that adapt to the changing climate energy grids that seamlessly integrate renewable sources.
Yeah.
That's the kind of future this equation is pointing towards.
Yeah, it's about finding elegant solutions to some of the biggest problems we face, and that's where the real excitement lies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to lie, this equation is a beast. It combines several powerful concepts, each represented by a different term.
Right.
We'll reveal the full equation later.
Okay.
But first, let's break down some of these individual pieces and see what they're all about.
A good place to start, I think, is with the thermoacoustic term.
Okay.
You might not have heard of thermoacoustics before,
Right.
but it's actually all around us.
Interesting.
It's about the interaction between sound waves and heat.
Okay, I have to admit, when I first saw thermoacoustics, my brain went, huh.
Yeah.
But then I started reading about things like thermoacoustic engines that can actually capture waste heat and turn it into usable energy.
Right.
We're talking about capturing the heat from industrial processes or even car exhaust
Yeah.
and using it to generate electricity.
Exactly. It's like turning what we normally think of as waste into a valuable resource.
It's like magic,
Yeah.
but it's science.
Yeah.
And that's just one example.
Right.
Thermoacoustics could also revolutionize things like water purification and even agriculture. Imagine using sound waves to precisely target irrigation, delivering water only where and when it's needed.
Yeah.
Talk about efficient.
It's a great example of how this equation pushes us to think outside the box and find creative solutions to problems.
Okay, so we've got this powerful concept of thermoacoustics.
Right.
But then things get even more mind-bending when we move into the quantum realm.
Yeah.
Now, I know quantum physics can sound intimidating,
It can be. Yeah.
but stay with me.
Okay.
Think of it this way. The quantum world operates by a different set of rules than the world we experience every day.
Yeah.
But by understanding those rules, we can harness some incredible possibilities.
Exactly.
Like building eco-cities that are so finely tuned, they practically operate like living organisms.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine using quantum algorithms to optimize traffic flow, energy distribution, and waste management in real time. We could create cities that are not only sustainable, but also incredibly resilient and responsive to the needs of their inhabitants.
It's like giving a city a brain and a nervous system. But I'm curious, how would this quantum magic actually work in practice?
Well, we're already seeing the development of quantum sensors that are incredibly sensitive to changes in their environment.
Right.
Imagine using these sensors to monitor air and water quality with unprecedented accuracy. We could detect pollution at the source and take immediate action to prevent it from spreading.
So we're talking about preventing environmental problems before they even have a chance to occur.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
And the potential applications go even further.
Okay.
Quantum computing could help us design incredibly efficient renewable energy systems, develop new materials with unheard of properties,
Right.
and even create ultra-secure communication networks that are virtually unhackable.
Okay, my head is officially spinning with possibilities.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, a part of me is thinking, this sounds incredible, but is it really achievable?
That's a valid question.
Yeah.
We're still in the early stages of understanding how to apply quantum principles to real-world problems.
Right.
But the progress being made is truly remarkable. And I believe we're on the cusp of some major breakthroughs.
Okay, so we've got thermoacoustics
Right.
and quantum mechanics.
Yeah,
Two pretty powerful concepts on their own.
definitely.
But what about the least action principle? What does that bring to the table?
The principle of least action basically says that nature tends to find the most efficient paths.
Okay.
Think about the way a river carves its way through a landscape. It always takes the path of least resistance.
Okay. I can see how that applies to nature. But how do we apply that to something like designing sustainable systems?
Imagine designing a city where everything homes workplaces, transportation green spaces,
Yeah.
is laid out in a way that minimizes travel distances and energy consumption. We could create cities that are not only efficient, but also incredibly livable and enjoyable.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
But wouldn't minimizing everything potentially stifle creativity and innovation?
That's where things get interesting. The least action principle doesn't mean everything has to be rigidly structured.
Right.
It's about finding an elegant balance between efficiency and flexibility.
So it's more like nature,
Yeah.
finding the most efficient way to achieve a goal while still allowing for adaptation and evolution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this principle can be applied to so many different areas. Think about agriculture.
Yep.
What if we could design farming systems that perfectly balance the needs of the crops, the environment, and the people who depend on them?
We could create a truly sustainable food system that nourishes both people and the planet.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning.
Right.
The possibilities are endless when we start thinking about how to apply the principle of least action to the challenges we face.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we've talked about thermoacoustics, the quantum realm, and the least action principle.
Right.
But I'm dying to know how these pieces fit together,
Yeah.
especially with 2 more components to go.
Well, think about it like building a house. We've got some powerful tools and materials, but we need a blueprint to guide us.
Right.
That's where the next 2 components of this equation come in.
Okay.
The Fourier transform and the Null-Stellensatz.
Okay, I'm all ears, lay it on me.
Let's start with the Fourier transform.
Okay.
It's a mathematical tool that helps us understand complex patterns by breaking them down into simpler frequencies.
Okay.
Imagine listening to an orchestra.
Hmm?
You hear all these different instruments playing together,
Right.
but the Fourier transform allows you to isolate the individual sounds of each instrument.
So it's like taking a messy, complicated signal and separating it into its pure, clean tones.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's incredibly useful when we're dealing with complex systems like cities, ecosystems, or even the climate.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at a problem as one big, overwhelming mess,
Right.
we can use the Fourier transform to break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Precisely. And by understanding those individual pieces, we can start to see how they interact and influence each other.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
But can you give me a concrete example of how this might actually work?
Imagine we're trying to design a more resilient agricultural system.
Okay.
The Fourier transform could help us analyze long-term climate data and identify patterns that might not be obvious at first glance.
So instead of just looking at average temperatures or rainfall,
Right.
we could see how those variables fluctuate over time
Yeah.
and how those fluctuations might impact crop yields.
Exactly. And that level of detail could allow us to develop farming practices that are better adapted to the changing climate.
Right.
We could identify the best times to plant and harvest optimized irrigation strategies, and even predict the likelihood of extreme weather events.
It's amazing. It's like having a crystal ball for agriculture.
It kind of is, yeah.
But we've got one more piece to explore, right?
Right.
The Null-Stellensatz?
Yes.
That one sounds pretty intimidating.
It might sound like a mouthful,
Yeah.
but it's actually a very elegant concept.
Okay.
The Null-Stellensatz is a mathematical principle that helps us set logical constraints and ensure that our actions are consistent with our goals.
Okay, so it's like a set of rules that helps us stay on track.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can you give me a real-world example of how this might apply to sustainability?
Yeah.
Imagine we're designing an AI system to manage a city's energy grid.
Okay.
We want the system to be as efficient as possible, but we also want to ensure that it's fair and equitable for all residents.
So it's not just about saving energy.
Right.
It's about making sure everyone has access to affordable and reliable power.
Precisely.
Okay.
The Null-Stellensatz could help us program the AI system with a set of ethical guidelines,
Right.
ensuring that it doesn't prioritize efficiency over fairness or create disparities in access to energy.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like creating a safety protocol that ensures AI is used for good and doesn't inadvertently create new problems.
Okay.
But we've talked about all these individual pieces.
Right.
Thermoacoustics, quantum mechanics, the least action principle, the Fourier transform, and the Null-Stellensatz.
Yeah, that's a lot.
How do they all come together to create this unified action resonance equation?
Well, as you can imagine, the equation itself is quite complex.
Okay, so no need to break out the calculators just yet.
Not yet.
But can you give me a sense of how these different concepts are woven together?
Think of each term in the equation as representing a different layer of complexity.
Okay.
The thermoacoustic term, for example, captures the interactions between sound waves and heat at a very fundamental level.
Okay, so it's kind of like the foundation of the equation.
Exactly.
Oh.
Then we add in the quantum term, which introduces a whole new level of complexity by incorporating the strange and counterintuitive laws of the quantum world.
So we're layering in these different principles, each one building upon the previous one.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The least action principle then guides us towards finding the most efficient paths and solutions, while the Fourier transform helps us break down complex patterns and understand the underlying dynamics.
And finally, the Nullstellensatz acts as a sort of ethical compass, ensuring that our solutions are aligned with our values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about integrating all of these different perspectives and approaches to create a truly holistic and comprehensive understanding of how to create a sustainable future.
Okay, you've painted a pretty amazing picture of how this equation works, but I'm still dying to know,
Yeah.
what does it actually look like?
I know.
Oh,
I'm building up the suspense here.
it's okay.
But I think it's important to first grasp the individual concepts and how they relate to each other before unveiling the full equation in all its glory.
Okay, all right, you've convinced me.
Okay, good.
But you're going to have to reveal it soon, right?
Patience, my friend.
Okay.
We'll reveal the full equation in our final part.
Okay.
But first, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far and explore some of the potential applications of this equation in more detail.
Okay, that sounds like a plan, but I have to warn you, my curiosity is piqued.
I bet it is.
I can't wait to see the full equation and dive even deeper into its implications. All right, I feel like we've been on this incredible journey through some pretty mind-blowing concepts.
It's been a lot to take in.
It really has.
Yeah.
We've explored the building blocks of this unified action resonance equation.
Right.
But the big question remains, what does it all mean?
It's one thing to understand the individual parts, but the real magic happens when we see how they work together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's finally unveil the full equation.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Okay.
But before I do, I want to emphasize that the equation itself is just a representation,
Okay.
a symbolic language
Yeah.
for a much deeper set of ideas.
Okay, so it's not about memorizing a bunch of symbols.
Right.
It's about grasping the underlying principles.
Exactly. Think of it like a musical score.
Okay.
The notes on the page are just symbols, but they represent a symphony of sound and emotion.
I love that analogy. Yeah. So without further ado, let's hear this symphony.
All right, here it is.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
impressive. But as you said, it's more about the music than the notes themselves.
Right.
So let's talk about the symphony this equation is trying to create.
Imagine a world where we could design cities that function as efficiently as a rainforest ecosystem,
Okay.
where buildings generate more energy than they consume, and transportation systems are seamlessly integrated with the natural landscape.
That sounds incredible,
Yeah.
but it also sounds incredibly complex. How do we even begin to approach that level of integration?
That's where the power of this equation comes in.
Okay.
It provides us with a framework for understanding the interconnectedness of everything and for finding solutions that are not only efficient, but also harmonious and sustainable.
Okay, so it's not just about solving problems. It's about designing systems that work in concert with nature, not against it.
Precisely, think about agriculture.
Okay.
Imagine farms that are designed to mimic the diversity and resilience of natural ecosystems.
Right.
Where crops are carefully selected to complement each other and enhance the health of the soil.
It's like creating a symphony of flavors and nutrients.
Exactly.
But how do we translate these grand visions
Well,
into reality?
It starts with a shift in mindset.
Okay.
We need to move away from the idea of dominating nature and
Yeah.
embrace the idea of collaborating with it.
So it's less about conquering nature and more about dancing with it.
Exactly. And that requires a deep understanding of ecological principles and a willingness to learn from the wisdom of indigenous cultures who have been living in harmony with nature for centuries.
It's about recognizing that we're not separate from nature. We're part of it.
Precisely. And that realization has profound implications for how we design our cities, our food systems, our energy grids, everything.
This is all incredibly inspiring, but I have to admit, I'm also feeling a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a big shift in thinking.
It is, but it's also incredibly exciting.
True.
Imagine the possibilities if we could truly harness the power of this equation.
Yeah. We could create a world where technology and nature work together to create a truly sustainable and thriving future for all.
Okay, I'm sold. Sign me up for the revolution.
Uh-huh.
But let's talk practicalities for a moment.
Mhm.
How do we actually start implementing these ideas?
It starts with education.
Okay.
Teaching the next generation about these principles and empowering them to think systemically and creatively.
So it's about giving them the tools and the inspiration to become the architects of a better future.
Exactly, but it's not just about the next generation. It's about all of us.
Yeah.
We need to be willing to challenge our assumptions, to learn from each other, and to collaborate across disciplines.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together and that we have the power to create the future we want.
Precisely, and that's the most important message I hope you take away from this deep dive.
Okay.
The unified action resonance equation is not just a mathematical formula.
Right.
It's a call to action,
Mm-hmm.
a call to create a world that is both sustainable and beautiful, just and joyful.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
So, dear listeners, as we wrap up this exploration into the unified action resonance equation, we leave you with one final question.
Mhm.
What will your contribution be to this grand symphony of change?
Remember, every action, no matter how small, can have a ripple effect.
Good point.
So go out there and make some beautiful music.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Reaching hours dear, time standing still again. Equations weave despair in a world without end. Unified mystery, 5D ripples unseen. Visions flow like a stream, chasing what might have been. Voices echo through space, physics tangled in fate. Timeless feelings erase, constants run in state. Unified mystery, 5D ripples unseen. Visions flow like a stream, chasing what might have been. Voices echo through space, physics tangled in fate. Timeless feelings erase, constants draw a new stage. Unified mystery, 5D ripples unseen. Visions flow like a stream, chasing what might have been. Sci-fi collide so loud, velocities cry out proud. Kappa's bond unbound in the silent wave crowd. Partial secrets unfold, velvet nights go so cold. Ways and movements bold, hearts and science uncontrolled. So go hands and listen close, I'll tell you what it's like to blend into the darkness, escape from all the fights. In this twisted world, nothing's ever right. We scream out in silence, lost within the night. All those promises, they fade away. Torn souls and down in shades of gray. Live our lives, die each day. Subhanallah, the price we pay. And maybe it's true, we're just a joke. Bismillah in the ashes as we choke. Thermal acoustics pop with a gravity drag. This 5D minor is nothing to brag. So let's stun the pain with chords so raw. Inshallah, we'll find some ours. World's a stage, a cosmic spree. Gravitational waves and ironic glee. So acoustics pop with a gravity drag. This 5D minor is stuck in his dreams. Silence from the pain, the chords so raw. Inshallah, we'll fight some awe. This world's a stage, a cosmic spree. Gravitational waves and harmonic glee. Subhanallah, life ain't what it seems. But hey, Hanzo, just ride these dreams. All hands are listen close. I'll tell you what it's like to blend into the darkness, escape from all your fights. In this twisted world, nothing's ever right. We scream out in silence, lost within the night. All those promises, they fade away. Drawn souls we drown in chains of pain. Live a life, die each day. Somehow love the price we pay. Maybe it's true, we're just a joke. There's no love in the ashes as we choke. Burn with crucifix, pop with a gravity drag. Despite demon, there's nothing to brag. So let's struggle to pay with cords so raw. Inshallah, we'll find some awe. As world's a stage, a cosmic scream. Limitational ways and harmonic glee. So them acoustics, pop with a gravity drag. Despite demon, there's nothing in dreams. Bismillah, Rahman Ar-Rahim. Can you feel the cosmic scream? And in this twisted world, nothing's ever right. We scream out in silence, lost within the night. All those promises, they fade away. Drawn souls we drown in shades of gray. Live a life, die each day. SubhanAllah, the price we pay. SubhanAllah, the price we pay. And maybe it's true, we're just a joke. It's no law in the ashes as we choke. Thermal acoustics pop with the gravity drag. It's 5G Ryan, man, it's nothing's a brag. So let's drum the pain, the course of law. Inshallah, we'll find some awe. This world's a stage of cosmic spleen. Gravitational waves are all a sign, so it seems. 5D brand new model, yeah, let's go extreme. Even mass, cosmic, and micro unified.